Good morning, and welcome to the Wyoming Law Enforcement Academy. My name is Jesse Curtis, and I have the honor of serving as the Deputy Director of the Law Enforcement Academy, as well as the MC for today's ceremony. Unfortunately, Director Bain is not able to attend today. However, he does send his regards as well as his congratulations to the class. We're also live streaming today and would like to welcome the family, friends, colleagues, and administrators who've joined us online. We're really excited that you're all here today. Due to the restrictions from COVID last year, this will be the first live ceremony we've had since February of 2020. So it's nice to have everybody back. This morning we celebrate the graduation of Peace Officer Basic 21B 157. That number you see on your program does have some significance. 21 is the year. B indicates that this is the second Peace Officer Basic of the year. And the number 157 denotes that this is the 157th Peace Officer Basic that's graduated from this academy. This ceremony is steeped in history and tradition. Veteran officers who began their careers in Wyoming and who graduated from this academy have shared the same sense of accomplishment and even perhaps relief that these students feel today. Peace Officer Basic graduation marks a time of transition for these officers as they begin their law enforcement career. This transition takes them from being individual contributors to public servants who now focus on the needs of others instead of themselves. This transition process is not easy. 28 students began this academy and 27 graduate today, which is actually remarkable for a basic class. Typically, we don't have that many. These men and women have every right to be proud of their hard work and accomplishments during the last 13 weeks. Since arriving on day one, we have addressed them as Mr. or Ms. But today, for the first time here at the Academy, we will be addressing them as officer, deputy, trooper, warden, and that's just another symbol of that transition. This ceremony is not just about the graduates. It is also an expression of thanks to their families and administrators who have supported them during their absence. We welcome audience participation in today's ceremony with any yells or cheers as we celebrate the success of these students. It is more than appropriate to share in the sense of overwhelming pride, honor, and joy that will be felt within this room today. Remember, today is likely the only time in these officers' careers where they will encounter such a large crowd that actually wants to see them. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand and help me welcome Peace Officer Basic Class 21B 157. Class, would you please come forward? Would you please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation? This class has selected Officer Jason Barker from Newcastle PD to lead us in the pledge. Officer Barker.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are pleased to have Tim Ricker, a member and past president of the Wyoming Law Enforcement Chaplains Association, with us to deliver today's invocation. Chaplain.
Thank you. Please bow in prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you that we're able to assemble and honor these graduates and bring them before your throne of mercy and ask for your grace to be in their lives. I pray for your protection over them as they leave here and return to their respective communities and resume life with their families and neighbors. I thank you for the desire that you instilled in their hearts to serve their fellow man and for their willingness to surrender to this high and lofty calling. Thank you for the families and loved ones of these graduates and for their faithfulness in taking care of things back home. I also pray for your blessings upon them and your protection as well. Thank you for this Institute of Higher Learning and the training and teaching that goes on here to equip these officers to protect and keep us safe. I pray that you bless the director, the instructors, and staff for committing their lives and talents to teaching and serving here. I pray for your hand of protection and provision to be upon them. I pray that we all might say, as King David said in Psalm 16:8, I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Lord, please keep each and every one of us in your care. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Ricker. You may be seated. At this time, please allow me a moment to introduce a few of the people seated before you today. To my immediate right is today's keynote speaker, whom I will introduce in a few moments. To his right is Chaplain Ricker, whom you've already met. Next to him is the Executive Director of the Wyoming Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, Director Walsh. And finally, next to him is the Wyoming Law Enforcement Academy's Training Manager, Kurt Taboga. No organization can or would be successful without support from behind the scenes, and our Academy is no exception to that. These staff members are what makes basic training possible and highly effective. As we speak, 3 of our most vital service sections remain hard at work elsewhere on our campus. For it is their collective efforts that contribute and ensure the quality of the training as well as today's ceremony. These sections include our food services, custodial, and maintenance staff. Please join me in thanking them. Our office section is known for their dedication, efficiency, and attention to detail. Without them, we could not accomplish our mission. Will the members of the office team who are with us today please stand and be recognized? Our last section that is here today is our instructional staff. Whatever you may have heard about this group, their pride, enthusiasm for their jobs, and dedication to the students that they train is second to none. Not only do they instruct a wide variety of topics, they also serve as team leads, coaches, mentors, and coordinators. Instructional staff here today, would you please stand and be recognized? I would also like to recognize the agency administrators who took time out of their busy schedules today to join us, which is no small task. Agency administrators, would you please stand and be recognized? And finally, I would like to recognize all of the mid-level managers, first-line supervisors, and law enforcement officers who have joined us for today's ceremony. Would those representing a law enforcement agency please stand and be recognized? It is now my honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker. He was raised in Douglas and is a 1989 graduate of Douglas High School. He enrolled at and graduated from Earlham College in Richmond, Indiana in 1993 with a bachelor's degree in history. In 1997, he enrolled at the University of Tulsa Law School, where he graduated in 2000 with his Juris Doctorate. From 2001 to 2017, he practiced law with his father Frank at the Peasley Law Firm. During this time, he also served as a part-time deputy prosecutor for Converse County. In 2017, he was appointed as a district court judge for the 8th Judicial District of Wyoming by Governor Matt Mead. He has been married to his wonderful wife, Laura, for 24 years, and they have 3 beautiful daughters, Allison and Audrey, who are 20, and Sydney, who is 16. Please help me welcome District Court Judge from the 8th Judicial District of Wyoming, the Honorable F. Scott Peasley.
Thank you, Jesse. Distinguished guests, parents, family, friends, and graduates, good morning, and thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. Let me get my glasses out, though. Jesse told you how old I was. It's really an honor to be here. Congratulations, let me start with that, on your accomplishment, graduates. You have a lot to be proud of. I know that the courses you take here are very difficult, and so job well done. The last time I spoke here a couple years ago, before we were able to meet like this, which, by the way, is really a nice thing, isn't it? I asked some of the graduates what the hardest part of the course was, and I got some blank stares and some odd looks. But what I've learned, having asked about it, is I know that by going through this academy, you've taken a real diverse course load, and that the curriculum really prepares you very well for the jobs that you are embarking on. So with that, I speak with some confidence here that you have the tools now that what you need to be successful as peace officers. So with that, I'd like to start really with some words of encouragement. You know, as a judge, I have to lay pretty low. I don't have much of a social life, but I am not naive to the challenges that law enforcement has been faced with and handed here in the last year or two, and frankly, it is unfortunate. But what I would tell you is that I hope that the noise that you see and hear all the time doesn't discourage you or cause you to lose hope or focus. Many times as a judge, I'm called upon to make decisions that some people just obviously don't like. But I recognize and I have to appreciate every day that I took an oath to defend the laws of the state of Wyoming and of the Constitution. And I know that you all will be taking or have taken a similar oath. And so I would tell you that as you're called upon to face the challenges that you will face, to remind yourself of that oath and to defend the laws of this great state. And I will tell you that one of the most important things you can do when you're doing your job is to remember not only that oath, but to never sacrifice your integrity. I will tell you that it's hard to read news when you see prosecutors or judges or law enforcement officers who do sacrifice that integrity, and I will tell you, it never ends well. And so with that, I know that you have the training, the experience from graduating from this academy to deal with those challenges, and I will encourage you to ignore a lot of that noise that you hear. You know, we're blessed here in Wyoming living in small towns, quiet towns, but that doesn't mean that there's not noise. And I will tell you that I've made a personal choice to ignore it, and I ignore it for a variety of reasons. Not because I don't want to be informed, but because generally that noise that we hear so often anymore is misinformed and misguided, and oftentimes for individuals' personal gain. And so with that, I would encourage you to remember that there are a lot of people, the majority of people, who rely upon you to do your job and who are thankful for you doing your job. And so don't forget about that silent majority out there that appreciates what you do every day. Because by doing your job, by recognizing your oath, and by not sacrificing your integrity for personal gain, I will tell you that you will have gained the respect of the people that really matter. Toward that end, I would encourage you to get involved in your communities. Engaging with your communities is, I find, one of the easiest and best ways to build trust, to ease tension, to open a constructive dialogue, and to foster the communication you need with those people to have a good relationship. You know, when I first moved back here in 2000, I talked to our former sheriff, and he told me that what his primary job was to drink coffee, shake hands, and kiss babies. And I'll tell you, that's pretty much what he did. But it worked well for him. The community trusted him, and he had a great relationship with those that he served. And so I will also tell you here that when I first took my job, my predecessor, Judge John Brooks, gave me some pretty good advice that I think might be useful for you. The first thing he told me was to take the job seriously, but not yourself too seriously. And you hear that a lot, but I will tell you that that rings true so often. And I would encourage you to remember that. I think when you take yourself too seriously, that leads to bad results. But obviously, the jobs that each of you hold now are extremely important. So take that job very seriously. And the other piece of advice he gave me was to treat people that I deal with dignity and compassion. And I would encourage you to do the same. The majority of people in your communities, again, trust you, rely upon you, and by getting yourself involved in the community and keeping that open dialogue, I think that will foster a good relationship and frankly help your job be a little bit easier. So with that, let me tell you that I'm really happy to be here. I wish you all the very best. Stay safe. And again, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor, for accepting our invitation as keynote and for your remarks. As usual, there are those individuals within a class who go above and beyond. Now we want to give recognition to those officers who have distinguished themselves during this basic course. Mr. Sheridan, would you please come forward and present the Physical Fitness Award?
Thank you, sir. During basic training, the students attend 36 hours of fitness instruction. These training sessions include aerobic, anaerobic, and core strength building circuit training. The students are tested physically from the moment they arrive until their final PT assessment. Each assessment includes their maximum number of push-ups and sit-ups in 1 minute, as well as their time for a 1.5 mile run. The top PT award goes to the student who has the highest cumulative percentile scored during the final PT assessment based on age and gender. The Physical Fitness Award winner completed the following: 46 sit-ups in 60 seconds, 43 push-ups in 60 seconds, and a 1.5 mile run in 10 minutes and 55 seconds. The Physical Fitness Award for Peace Officer Basic 21B 157 goes to Deputy Nadia Armbruster from the Sublette County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Steele, would you please come forward to give recognition to those who excelled in firearms?
Thank you, Mr. Sheridan. To prepare for final proficiency scores, Peace Officer Basic students shoot approximately 1,500 handgun rounds at distances of 3 to 50 yards, as well as 600 rifle rounds out to 100 yards. In order for a student to achieve certification, they must shoot a minimum proficiency score of 80% with their handgun and rifle. The WLEA Top Gun Award is given in recognition of an individual's outstanding performance and dedication to firearms excellence. This class was unique in that 2 students scored 100% on both handgun and rifle, requiring instructors to develop a comprehensive test to determine a winner. Will the following 2 students please stand to be recognized for their excellence? From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Brian Hiltner. Also from the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Brian Fitzgerald. WLEA Top Gun Award for Peace Officer Basic 21B 157 goes to Officer Brian Hiltner from the Cheyenne Police Department. Mr. Millick, would you please come forward to give recognition to those who excelled in academics?
Thank you, Mr. Steele. The students are tested continuously as they progress their basic training. They must meet established minimum requirements in order to receive their certificate of successful completion. Specifically, they must pass 10 examinations, totaling 705 questions. Would the following students please stand to be recognized for their academic achievements? From the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Paul Bennick. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Brian Fitzgerald. From the Sublette County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Nadia Armbruster. The top academic award goes to that student who achieved the highest academic cumulative average throughout the Peace Officer Basic. The top academic student in this class had an average of 93.33% over the course of basic training. Out of 705 total questions, this officer answered 658 correctly. The academic award for Peace Officer Basic 21B 157 goes to Deputy Paul Bennick from the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. Classes may choose to complete a class project. This class has chosen Deputy Travis Whipple from the Platte County Sheriff's Office to discuss what they have chosen for their project.
Thank you. I'll keep this short. Each class that comes through here has an opportunity to give something back either to the academy or the community. Our class has chosen shooting blocks that you can see displayed over there. This is going to help with zeroing and sighting in rifles for proficiency, which will hopefully take away a little bit of time to allow for further training in those things. So I want to thank everybody in the class for donating the money for us to do that, and thank you guys for allowing us to give back. Thank you.
Thank you, class, for your generous donation of the shooting blocks. They will be a nice addition to training. They will not be used for proficiency itself, though, ever. Each class selects a spokesperson to represent their class at graduation, to share their collective thoughts and experiences from training. This class has chosen Officer Connor Morrison from the Rock Springs Police Department to be their speaker. Officer Morrison.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank each of you for coming out tonight and showing your support for the officers that are graduating here today. Due to the recent turmoil that has been spurred between police and those that we serve, it means a great deal to have your support. Before I get any further, I need to say no, the accent ain't going anywhere. Y'all talk funny, I don't. And I was just as surprised as you are to hear they asked a guy that Mr. Smith can't understand to give the speech. However, even with this slight lapse in judgment, I could not be more proud to have started my career with those sitting next to me. Together we have worked diligently to prepare ourselves, both physically and mentally, for the difficulties of the occupation that we have been called to do. Throughout the duration of this course, we have accomplished great feats, from the shooting ranges to the dreaded custody and control match. We have each laid a strong foundation that we can build fruitful and illustrious careers. The training that we have undergone for the last 14 weeks has given us the chance to better ourselves as officers and as individuals. And I can say with confidence that my classmates have taken full advantage of this opportunity. On the ranges, Mr. Steele developed more than just our accuracy with our firearms. He developed our patience, diligence, and tact. And speaking personally, he taught me that a 40-degree day with 50-mile-an-hour winds and a torrential downpour is just a nice spring Wyoming morning. He may have been a tad condescending for this lesson, but he still taught it. We also undertook some painful personal development on the custody and control mats. Of course, this occurred while dodging Deputy Travis Whipple's sweat, which was sent airborne from his righteous mullet. But through this torrent of sweat, many great lessons could be gathered. Officer Nadia Armbruster taught us to never judge a book by its cover, as she whooped up on nearly everyone in class, in particular the behemoth known as Officer Cole Tompkins. Mr. Wallace showed that even a Viking such as himself could be graceful. And Mr. Smith showed that we need to focus up and stop playing so much. Okay, maybe those last two were a bit satirical, but nevertheless, important lessons were still drawn from those mats. The importance of self-control, thinking practically, and the ability to push through were only a few of the skills that were built up during this portion of the training. Furthermore, the training did not stop at the mats being rolled up, nor the gates to the range being shut. Important takeaways were also gathered from the emergency vehicle operations pad, such as, if you put a turkey in front of Officer Janae's vehicle, she will put everyone's life at risk trying to avoid it. Deputy Fisher should always be the lead officer in pursuits, and I get incredibly motion sick when driving in reverse for an hour straight. But these are not the only lessons discovered on the pavement. We learned to exercise temperance, to retain a cool demeanor, and that a good sense of humor goes a long way. This knowledge that we have gained during our time here at the Wyoming Law Enforcement Academy is not the end of us trying to better ourselves. As I mentioned earlier, this just laid the foundation that we must build upon. Being in law enforcement is a job where it is never acceptable to become complacent. As officers, it is pivotal that we gain new skills, reinforce old ones, and can adapt for the inevitable change that is coming. There's no doubt in my mind that this is a monumentous undertaking, but likewise, I know that those in this room are willing and able to successfully see it through. In closing, I would like to thank those family and friends who are here in attendance tonight, or this morning, sorry, and watching at home. At times, this career will be frustrating, painful, and heartbreaking. It would be nearly impossible to put up with the rigors of the job without your trust and support. You can see the results of the training, the boxes checked, the exams passed. However, you may not see the lengthy phone calls, the long drives home, and the hesitant goodbyes on Sunday afternoons. Personally, I would like to thank my wife, the magnanimous Mrs. Lucy, and say that your strength inspires me. After all, it was her crazy idea to move across the country so I can hunt elk. I would also like to thank each of the instructors who worked hard to prepare us for future success, our departments for giving us the opportunity to serve our communities, and finally, Officer Reese Federer, who will be coming up shortly to translate my speech since the subtitles were off. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Officer Morrison. That was on point. Now to our final award. In every class, there are those students who are willing to distinguish themselves by their exemplary work and efforts. They strive to become the best of the best, both within their class and within their chosen profession. As a form of recognition for the one student who continually performed to the best of their abilities, the Academy has established the Honor Graduate Award. Mr. Walls and Mr. Maurer, would you please come forward and give recognition to those students who have been nominated for this award?
Thank you, Deputy Director Curtis. Before I start, I just want to say that I don't know that my gracefulness is pure satire, but the Honor Graduate Award is the highest honor the Academy presents to a student graduating from a Wyoming Law Enforcement Academy basic course. In order to be eligible to receive this award, a student must be nominated by a member of instructional staff. It is not a popularity contest. It is an honor just to be nominated. Once the officer is nominated, a very comprehensive and objective point system is used to assess the nominee's performance while attending basic. The specific areas evaluated are the student's academic scores, proficiency in firearms, custody and control, and physical fitness. In addition, students are assessed in the following 6 areas of professional citizenship, which are leadership, effort, cooperation, initiative, attitude, and improvement. In alphabetical order, will the following officers please come forward to receive your merit award in recognition of your nomination? From the Casper Police Department, Officer Gordon Brown. From the Rock Springs Police Department, Officer Connor Morrison. From the Laramie County Sheriff's Department, Officer Dustin Parker. And from the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Cole Tompkins. The Honor Graduate Award recognizes the one student in each basic who exemplifies all the attributes of a professional police officer and who performed exceptionally in all phases of training. In addition to receiving a plaque, and with the intent to encourage the recipient beyond today's recognition, the Honor Graduate will receive a $500 scholarship for any advanced training offered here at WLEA. It is a long-standing tradition that the audience stand while the Honor Graduate Award is presented. Would you please stand? Ladies and gentlemen, the Honor Graduate Award for Peace Officer Basic 21B 157 goes to Deputy Dustin Parker from the Laramie County Sheriff's Department. At this time, we will award graduation certificates. Mr. Taboga.
Peace Officer Basic Class 21B 157. All the staff here at WLEA congratulate you for completing your basic training. You started this journey just weeks ago, and today you have achieved your goal of becoming Wyoming State Certified Peace Officers. Know that your family members here today, your agency administrators, and the Academy staff are proud of your accomplishments. On behalf of the class and the Academy staff, we would like to also thank the many Wyoming law enforcement agencies and associations across the state who partnered with us to provide the best training possible so that these new officers have what they need to do their jobs completely, reasonably, and safely. The Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police, the Wyoming Peace Officers Association, the Wyoming Law Enforcement Chaplains Association, and the Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission are just a few who regularly devote expertise, financial assistance, and manpower to assist us in accomplishing our mission. We thank you all very much. The Academy would like to also recognize the families of these men and women who themselves willingly sacrificed in 1,000 ways so their loved ones can go out and defend their community. All the missed family events, the schedules, the chores, the special moments you willingly endured so these officers could achieve their goal, the anxiety over the potential for that phone call, the pain of watching your officer come home suffering from seeing the unimaginable. You do this willingly, not just once, not just for a time, but every day your loved one puts that uniform on. They cannot do what they do without you. You took care of things these last several weeks so your loved ones could be here studying their craft. We see you, we thank you for your sacrifice, and we appreciate you. Peace Officer Basic 21B 157, you have arrived. You have spent the last several weeks constantly engaged in activities that forced you to face adversity that you didn't ask for, reconcile failures that were often quickly pointed out to you, recognize successes that no one else seemed to notice, deal with boredom, deal with people, solve countless problems, and at times struggle to see the purpose in all of it. In spite of all that, you have arrived here today. You have achieved. You have earned your place in our profession. You learned from your failures and built on your successes. You found peace and rest in boredom. You figured out that people can be incredibly beautiful and unimaginably horrible, sometimes during the same call. And while each of you have your own reasons for becoming an officer, it is our hope that you caught a glimpse of the purpose of our profession: to protect others, to serve others, and to sacrifice for others. To willingly step into the arena each day and have to become that unrecognized champion that so many times society cannot even bring themselves to look upon. It is a calling. It is challenging and often thankless and sometimes brutal calling. But it is the most noble calling, accepted each day by women and men of high honor who love their community and have chosen to serve others. We are proud of you for accepting this calling. Our challenge to you now is to take the greatest care in preserving and honoring of your profession. Our free society depends on and rightly expects it of you. Here at the Academy, we wish Godspeed to you all. Deputy Director Curtis, I recommend the awarding of the certificates for successful completion for Wyoming P.O.S.T approved 605-hour Peace Officer Basic course. Folks, while we're awarding the certificate, if you would like to take photos, a really good spot to do that is right down here where the other cameras are set up. And rest assured, Mr. Curtis will keep your loved one in place until you get the photo you need. We're here till 5 o'clock after all, so. All right, before we get started, class, front row, there you go. We have a special presenter. The special presenter began his law enforcement career in Maricopa County Sheriff's Office in Arizona, working there for 4 years before moving to Teton County, where he has worked for about a year, currently serving as a deputy. Here to present his fiancé certificate, please help me welcome Deputy Michael Giffen. And from the Sublette County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Nadia Armbruster. From the Newcastle Police Department, Officer Jason Barker. From the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Paul Bennick. Our second special presenter has worked in Wyoming law enforcement for 17 years. He has worked for Platte and Converse County Sheriff's Office and is currently employed by Evansville Police Department as a police officer. Here to present his nephew's certificate, please help me welcome Officer Carlton Duncan. And from Evansville Police Department, Officer Bluford Blankenship. From the Casper Police Department, Officer Courtney Brackenrich. From the Natrona County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Brett Brown. From the Casper Police Department, Officer Gordon Brown. From the Park County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Bronson Fawn. Our next special presenter has worked in law enforcement for 14 years, serving Laramie County Sheriff's Office and most lately Pine Bluffs Police Department, where he serves as a police officer. Here to present his nephew's certificate, please help me welcome Officer Mike Moore. And from the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Reese Federer. From Carbon County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Christopher Fisher. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Brian Fitzgerald. Our next special presenter began his law enforcement career in Gray Bull Police Department in 2002. He moved briefly to the Bighorn County Sheriff's Office in 2004 before returning to Gray Bull Police Department in 2007, where he is currently the Chief of Police. Here to present his officer's certificate, please help me welcome Chief Bill Brennan. From the Gray Bull Police Department, Officer Christopher Ford. From the Laramie Police Department, Officer Janae Hansen. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Brian Hiltner. From the Bighorn County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Seth Hoblet. From Teton County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sarah King. From the Uinta County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Tucker Leland. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Eric Mayfield. From the Park County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Tyler Maureen. From the Rock Springs Police Department, Officer Connor Morrison. Our next special presenter has worked with Laramie County Sheriff's Office for 13 years. He currently serves on the rank of sergeant, and he's here to present his son's certificate. Please help me welcome Sergeant Michael Parker. From the Laramie County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Dustin Parker. Our next special presenter has served our nation proudly in the United States Air Force, retiring after 35 years with the rank of colonel. Here to present his grandson's certificate, please help me welcome Colonel Scott Riebel. From Newcastle Police Department, Officer Lance Riebel. From Evansville Police Department, Officer Travis Seibel. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Emily Taraski. Our final special presenter began his law enforcement career with the Dallas, Texas Police Department, working there for 3 years. Moving to Riverton, Wyoming in 2000, where he has served the Riverton Police Department for 20 years. He is currently the Chief of Police. Here to present his officer's certificate, please help me welcome Chief Eric Murphy. And from the Riverton Police Department, Officer Sean Tatro. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Cole Tompkins. And last but not least, from the Platte County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Travis Whipple.
Okay, we're almost there. So I told the class in debrief that I would reserve my remarks for now, and it's now. So a few remarks to end. These past 13 weeks, we have required a considerable investment in time, energy, and money to prepare you to serve your communities as law enforcement officers. We've saturated you with knowledge, law, terms, and tactics, and we've tested you over and over and over again on that information. We've sprayed you, we've tossed you, we've punched most of you, we ran you, and we made some of you drive well beyond your comfort level and a little bit beyond ours. We placed you in multiple scenarios that required you to critically think, problem solve, and then implement those solutions while searching buildings, making traffic stops, responding to domestic violence calls, encountering non-compliant and deadly people. investigating crimes, and handling the mentally ill. And we required you to do all of this while maintaining your composure and professional demeanor. Despite all of this, the reality is the real work and training begins when you walk through those doors. The public you serve will be far more critical of your performance than any instructor has been throughout your basic. Your next phase of training begins with your field training officers in your own agencies who will build on the things that you've learned here and continue to make you more and more functional as officers. As you encounter those situations, it's important to always act with honor and with integrity. Remember, law enforcement is always under the watchful eye of the public, and when one officer chooses a path of adverse actions or behaviors, that choice often affects us all. That one poor choice may very well tarnish the badge that so many have worked so hard to uphold. To that end, as a public affirmation of your commitment to uphold the high standards required of our law enforcement profession, I now ask you in front of your family, your colleagues, your administrators, and guests to submit to the law enforcement oath of honor. I also invite all sworn law enforcement that are here with us today to voluntarily participate. Together, Wyoming's veteran officers and the state's newest officers professing their commitment to perform their jobs ethically, honorably, and with integrity. Please stand. All of you who are going to participate, please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, nor the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our own actions. I will always uphold the Constitution and the community that I serve. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wyoming Law Enforcement Academy is proud to present the graduates of Peace Officer Basic 21B 157. That concludes our formal ceremony. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who are here, please drive safe going home, and God bless.